Okay, I had question 16 from problem set 9. It says a square in the coordinate plane has vertices whose y coordinates are 0, 2, 6, and 8. What is the area of the square? Okay, so what I went ahead and did first here is I went ahead and drew my x and y axes and I labeled them counting by 2 since our points are counted by 2. So we have 0, 2, 6, 8. Okay, and then once I did that, I tried to make a drawing, like a rough sketch, to see what this would look like. And since I put these 2 points together to draw like the top half of the square, and since their y coordinates are the same, it's not gonna look like this, like the top of the square. Instead, the top of the square is gonna look like this. Like, so this will be your 2, this will be 0. So your square is gonna be like tilted kind of. So what that means is you're gonna want to have it inside of a bigger square. That way you can account for the area. So if we just go ahead and rough sketch these points. So if we're gonna have an x1 at 0, it's gonna be like right here. So this will be x1 comma 0, and then we're gonna have our x2 comma 2. So that's gonna be something like x2 comma 2. It's gonna be somewhere along this axis. So probably like right here, x2 comma 2. And then we're gonna have our 6 points, so x3 and 6. So it's gonna look somewhere like probably here, maybe. That's gonna be x3 comma 6, and then also our x4 comma 8. So probably like right about here. Just try and make it look like a square instead of a rectangle. So as long as the distance, it's gonna be roughly the same. Even if it doesn't look the same, just remember that it's a square and everything has to be congruent. So all these sides are gonna be equal. So what we can do is we can draw a bigger square around this that encompasses all the points. It's gonna look like this, go like this. And what we do know, since from our y-axis points here, is this is 6 and this is 8, so the difference here would be 2, and this is just gonna be your A point, and that could be your B, but since we know it already is, it's just gonna be 2. And then the same goes, so it's gonna be A, B, A, B, A, B, A. So, we have all these triangles here, so they're all the same. So we're gonna have a right triangle formed like this. It's gonna be BA equals hypotenuse. So A squared plus B squared equals H squared. And what H represents here is one side of the square. So if we can just find H and square, that's gonna give us our area, which is what we're trying to solve for in the first place here. So since we know what our B is, which is 2, so we're gonna have A squared plus 2 squared equals H squared. However, since we know that this point right here is 8, it's 8 from the y-axis to the x, if we just do 8 minus 2 right here, so we'll have 8 minus 2 equals 6, this is just gonna mean our A value is 6. So we can plug that into our equation. So we get 6 squared plus 2 squared equals H squared. So 36 plus 4 equals H squared. So then we have 40 equals H squared. H equals the square root of 40. And the area of this square is going to equal the square root of 40 times the square root of 40. Since this is the square root of 40 and that's the square root of 40, and it's just going to be one side times the other side is the area of this inside. So your area of your square, which is what we're solving for, equals 40 units squared, or whatever, units squared. And to make this a little bit easier to look at, since we know for whatever problem you have, just use your points and try and draw a rough sketch of this square here, and try and solve for the smaller point. And since you know this whole distance right here, and you find the smaller distance in 2, if you just do 8 minus 2 equals 6, and that'll be your A. And you just do Pythagorean theorem to find the side, and then square, and that's going to be your area right here.